it. It's recording to the cloud via the.
Wait, can you connect your computer to your phone's Wi-Fi?
No, I have unlimited data, so it won't let you use the hotspot. It's something I won't
What?
want. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That's bullshit. I didn't
That's
know so.
unlimited data stuff.
That's
I
such
got it.
a cop out. Like, why
Yeah,
have unlimited data?
because then you could have unlimited computers getting
Yeah,
Wi-Fi off, and
yeah,
the company would lose profits.
yeah, yeah.
That's what that's all about.
I know, but I mean, they could just have like a data plan that includes that or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's like the option, you know?
Bullshit. Okay, so I'm gonna start recording a GarageBand and then get this fucker going. Audio, video, input, Scarlett. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Test. Can you say something fast?
Check 1 2 check it check it check it check it check it check it check it.
You say something fast, and I'll say something fast. Yeah.
Pretty fast, but I can't say it that fast. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, I get tongue tied when I get a few words into that fast talking.
Fast talking.
Fast talking on the radio. Fast talking.
Fast talking on the radio. Okay, so I'm recording on Zoom and I'm recording on GarageBand now. So
All right, Dave. I'm also recording on GarageBand. So I suppose you could just use your recording if you want.
yeah, yeah.
I'll have this as a backup.
Wait, what'd you say?
I'll have this as a backup anyway.
That was just the way to get you to the sound test.
Yeah.
I heard it.
Audio Technica 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, I like those.
it's a 2020 and it's 2050. That's the one that has the different parabolas and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
It's got different settings, so it could be used for recording the room, for podcasting.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really like those KGs, man. Like that's like the 3 of the ones that I had and when I first started, and like they sound good.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, they're like close to this almost, actually. Like surprisingly, like they do a similar kind of effect, as in like they don't pick up the background noise as
For
hard.
like half the price.
Yeah. I'm really thinking about getting one of the USB 2020s because
Yeah,
then I can give that to one of the other podcasters of mine, and they'll have crisp sound.
I want to get one that plugs into my phone.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
And then another.
Oh no!
Almost.
Man down.
But yeah, it's way better than the fucking Shure SM58 Live thing.
Oh yeah. Those have their place, but when you're trying to get like just clean vocal stuff, it's not the greatest.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, my levels seem decent. I'm gonna start.
Yeah. Did my level seem decent too?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like both of our
all the levels.
Yeah, I got it.
Right.
You a little more, closer to you.
Yeah, and you're coming through pretty good on my end too. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So hey everybody, welcome to the Lil Guillotine podcast, episode 16.
What up? What up?
16. So now the Lil Guillotine podcast is old enough to get a driver's license.
Hell yeah, I'm down. We're gonna start. We're gonna do the test. I'll do the parallel parking.
Yeah, and then also like get married in a lot of states.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a lot of states or if it's just like a couple. Honestly, I'm not
But
very familiar about that, but
it's like Alabama is 14. I know that, but
I know some you have to like you can do it younger, but you have to get your parents' permission still. Yeah,
ah,
yeah, like a little like permission slip.
right. That's what I mean. Yeah, I
Really
think
awkward.
you always got to have that before you're 18.
Yeah, yeah, but
So we were talking before we restarted. Had technical difficulties with my Wi-Fi here on Lil Guillotine Studios
damn
about
technology.
theory and fucking. What brought that up was the Open America protests that happened. We had one of the biggest ones here in Wisconsin that made like a bunch of news all over the country.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of my comrades were like disappointed in the news outlets for like broadcasting it live and giving it way more attention and coverage than they should have, because they really signal amplified a lot of the messaging that was happening during it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was freaky. Uh,
sure.
yeah, like that many people were here, for that reason, you know.
There's like 1,500 people at least,
Yeah,
all created tightly, spreading virus around
yeah,
amongst each.
yeah. Uh-huh. And like it's a really tough spot because you can't even really counter protest them without proving their point in
Yeah,
front of their eyes, you know.
yeah. There was
Even if you're in a hazmat suit, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, you're at the protest, so like, you're not following it either." And it's
for
like,
real,
it's just like a lose lose, you know.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Before it happened, there was some other ones in different states. Like one in Milwaukee happened like the Monday before that, I think. And I had made like a YouTube video. I'm starting like this new YouTube series. I'm calling it Chopping Block, and kind of
Oh,
doing like
nice.
a lot better production YouTube wise, like
Uh,
doing your regular type of political YouTube
uh,
um, videos, the kind that go that folks get famous off of, with
yeah.
lots of editing screen and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's important.
know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I made a video about like their ignorance, but they're tapping into like working class sentiments, because it's like
Yeah.
the government has basically shut down the country and prevented people from going to work, while simultaneously providing zero social safety net for people. And
Hmm.
so like it's ill informed, but also tapping into populist working class sentiments for them to be doing these protests, because it's like um fucking yeah, but they should not be out there spreading the virus. Instead they should be adhering to the safer at home and the fucking social distancing, because I said we understand, we practice social distancing and we wear masks because we understand the consequences are like a lot of deaths of people, not because
Yeah.
the government tells us.
Yeah, it's wrapping that kind of government paranoia into this, which is like, I understand a level of government paranoia, but when it comes to a pandemic that no people in power are in control of, then I think that, you have to, take these steps and you have to respect them. You have to, because, otherwise, like you said, people will die.
Yeah,
Um, it's a fatal fucking virus,
yeah.
um,
So
and
you respect the social distancing, not because the government tells you to, but because like you respect science and you understand
yeah,
science.
exactly. Like I understand the argument, like, oh, there's this over encompassing, like, government, shutdown that is affecting my life in a big way. Uh,
Right.
like it's not that it is a government conspiracy trying to control you, as much as we are living in a tough time and we're gonna have to deal with tough things because of that,
Yeah.
and it's a tough virus.
Yeah, and the where they're right is that like the government has done close to squat for providing people job security, health insurance,
Hmm. Yeah,
like
the US government has been laughable uh,
The
about
personal protective equipment, the ventilators, the
yeah,
fucking like sick pay, that could be something that could have been provided
yeah.
during the crisis. And fucking so yeah, it's it's
Well,
correct to be putting pressure on the government to do those things, but not to open up America.
yeah, well, one of the things that it immediately revealed was the underfunding of, like, necessary services. So, like, the best example that everyone's dealt with right now is unemployment, the unemployment office. So, like, that something as simple as that has been underfunded for years, and not updated for so long that they had to apparently call in a specialist that, like, knew how to read a basically dead computer language because their computers were that old, you know what I mean, to update their, system to deal with the influx of, people signing up. So it's
Yeah,
like, it's revealing kind of like, even with, like, unemployment, which is like a, considered a necessary service, like, you know it's not as effective as it should be, because they've been kind of, poo-pooing the idea of, getting unemployment, and with the whole idea of welfare queens, it goes back a while. But so, like, it's just kind of revealing, like, pretty immediately, like, hey, when something really bad does happen to us, we are ill prepared for it.
yeah, and the welfare queen language is like Biden era racism from the early '90s that
Yeah,
Biden
yeah,
took part in perpetuating and shit like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a big part of the mainstream Democrat, talking points. They're very much behind that. You know, live by your bootstraps, and stuff too. As much
yeah.
as the
So we like their right to go and put pressure on the government, but it shouldn't be to open up America, because that's going to cause people to die, like hundreds of thousands of people to die. Like we had 5,000 people die like a few days ago in a single day here in the United States.
yeah.
And so yeah, I made this critique on this YouTube video. You also check it out on Lil Guillotine on YouTube. But also, once I saw it happening in Madison, I got really aggravated and like, fuck talking about, oh, they're coming from a good place. I'm like really pissed off at these people,
Yeah.
because it's like these deadly circumstances that they're creating, and like I have tons of fucking loved ones in Madison and friends that I feel like they put at physical risk by doing this bullshit activity, irresponsible activity of congregating closely during a pandemic.
Yeah, especially when they have, specifically, like, I've seen posts. It might. I'm not sure if it's from the Wisconsin one, but it said, "If you're sick, still come. You're still welcome." You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like, literally saying, like, even if you have it, come out to protest, which is
Yeah.
just the most insane. Because, I mean, but that is their argument, that it's like a herd immunity thing, and so it's to that, in their twisted way, it's better to spread it, you know which
Yeah,
is
that's
just the most, like, uh I don't know. I'm trying to think of a better word than evil, but, like, it's a really horrible thing to do. It's very selfish.
it's ignorant, and it's based on like, fucking elementary understanding of science, like extrapolating things they've heard towards
Yeah,
things where they don't necessarily belong. And of course, the herd immunity, like get it over, get everyone sick as fast as possible, was being practiced by like Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, at
yeah,
first. And he's come under a lot of criticism. I shared in my video, there was this picture of this one protester from Tennessee that said their protest sign was like, "Let the weak die, open up Tennessee," which is, yeah, just really, it goes beyond the herd immunity thing. It's just like some genocide shit right there. Oh,
Well,
and speaking of which, that's another common element that you see in these protests. And here in Madison, we see like these. I've heard them referred to as like terror wave, 4chan protesters, like proto-fashion fash folks who are coming out to these things. And there's militias, there's white supremacist militias that are organizing these things. And so there's a lot of genocidal fucking messaging that's happening. That's why it's a mistake that the media outlets were like signal amplifying so much.
well, yeah. There's you mentioning 4chan reminded me of QAnon. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that even people that don't understand the kind of background of 4chan sometimes will like repost like, posts from QAnon, which is this like entity from 4chan that is essentially just a disinformation machine. And it's just like they put out a lot of these facts, like they are like observations about how things are. They make these wild accusations about these things that are completely conspiratorial, and then they don't even like connect the dots between these things that like actually legitimize the conspiracy. You know what I mean? Like it's just the surface level of a conspiracy theory without any of the research or any of the middle ground. You know what I mean? And it
Yeah,
kind of
because
trains people to like think in that way. You know?
right. Yeah, because that's all a conspiracy theory needs is like doubt to sow, and like you can't ever prove it's not wrong. You can never prove it wrong.
Yeah.
And
Improve a negative.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
yeah, that's we were talking about like anti-vaxxers and their role in this too, and no doubt some of these proto-fashion fash are anti-vax as well, but I think there's also an anti-vax sentiments for folks who are coming out because it's like all you have to do is sow doubt in the minds that like any science that the government has influence in or produces or supports must be like anti-worker or like anti-people or like there in order to control people. And you could say that about any science, right? Because the government has its hand in all types of fucking science. Because so
Yeah.
so you don't the reason we understand and we believe the science is not because the government has influence in it, but it's because we have a modicum of logical analysis, and we're able to distinguish like good arguments
Uh-huh.
against bad arguments, and we know about
Yeah.
science because we've studied it, not the government tells us to. What I'm saying? There, that's that theme again.
Yeah. And we see the results too, with I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh wait, now I can hear you. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
What was the last point you made?
Just the same theme about how we believe science because we understand the science, and we don't believe it because the government tells us it's true.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. And oh yeah, I was gonna say like we also believe it because of the results as far as like modern medicine and
Right.
the vaccines that prevented polio and smallpox from being even bigger of things. And like back when the Spanish flu happened, like that killed a bunch of people, and like you know that was also a little bit before really good medicine was happening to prevent these things.
Yeah, it's data
So
driven, not doubt driven.
yeah, yeah, it's I mean you can argue with data, but like at least like do it genuinely instead of like disingenuous, which is like a lot of these people arguing on the internet. That's the biggest problem I have with it, is because like a lot of these people like are just seem to be arguing to be correct, to win an argument on the internet or to appear right all the time. And it's just to question what they're saying is just like, not cool with them. It's a very toxic way of looking at facts.
Yeah, it's like dunking on people. So yeah, to clarify about when I said terror wave, there's some new fascist like trends that are out there now. So like terror wave is kind of like a conglomeration of the vapor wave and like terrorists, and it's like these 4chan like young Nazis who go on the internet and get indoctrinated and troll and shit like that. I have a lot of them on TikTok too, like plenty of fucking trolls. It's funny on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
I swear to God, it's like a bunch of like older people, like 20s, 30s, who'd have zero videos. The trolls never make any videos. The people who are acting like a bunch of fucking dipshits and saying stupid shit without fucking actually arguing, insulting the way I look or fucking like making death threats. They never have any videos. And God, they're on there because they're trying to like get their pedophilia thirst on. They're trying to like stalk on some like teenage girls, and then they see me arguing politics that shatters their worldview, and then they get all fucking mad and start trolling. But anyway, so these fucking terror wave folks are like vaporwave fascists, and they come out, and apparently like if you wear like a Hawaiian shirt, that's sort of like a fascist symbol nowadays because it's like luau. Yeah, and it's a new thing for these militias because it represents like luau, which kind of sounds like boogaloo, and boogaloo is a new term for like when the Civil War will happen and the fascists will have to go and kill minorities and leftists and women of color and shit.
Oh, Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo.
Yep. And so another symbol is like the clown face, like Joker. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I guess like it represents some sort of, I don't even know. I don't get the reference actually, but they'll wear like Joker masks with Hawaiian shirts, and then
like the new Joker, like not Heath Ledger,
not Heath Ledger, the
one.
Oh, it's.
I mean, the Joker is essentially
Joaquin
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, the Joker is essentially just like a placeholder in like the DC universe for like a poor, angry white boy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a placeholder for someone that is just blindly angry at the system. So like when there's some people that like even back in the last generation with Heath Ledger, a lot of people related to that Heath Ledger because he was just anti-establishment or whatever and just chaotic about it.
Yeah.
And then they fucking put him on a pedestal, and then that guy did that shooting for when the next Batman movie came out. So I mean, like he is kind of this character that brings out this it gives some of these people a I don't know,
conduit.
Yeah, exactly. It's someone that they can, that's a little more chaotic even than the V for Vendetta mask, because like the V for Vendetta guy is at least like, trying to do something for the people.
Yeah, he's a lefty.
He's got he's got an ideology of some kind,
Yeah, no doubt.
But
yes.
Yeah, the Joker is Joker's a really interesting, like, just American character. You know what I mean?
Good point.
Yeah, I've thought too much about this.
Did you see the movie?
I did not see the movie. I'm still going to see it, but I every time someone talks about it, I'm like, I'm concerned about why you like this film.
Yeah, I know, right? Because it seems like Batman's not in it, and I'm like,
No, it's just Joker.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that there is. I don't know. I don't want to make a lot of assumptions about it. It did get a lot of like critical acclaim from, both, people on the right and left, I think. But
yeah. So another thing
like,
that like
yeah. Sorry, go on.
Oh, well, it was going to be like I was going to talk about another failure that the government has done during the pandemic. Coming from the very top, is Trump failing to make enough tests. Like, the World Health Organization had tests available that we could use from the get-go. But like through the Trump administration, the Centers for Communicative Diseases, the CDC, like refused to use the WHO tests and insisted on making their own tests, even though fucking, like in South Korea, for instance, they were administering something like 10,000 tests a day using the WHO tests, and they've had a great handle on the spread of this disease, because basically, if you don't know fucking how many people have it, you can't really make public policy to react towards it. And of course, all of this benefits the folks on the very high up, like the Trump, because it's more beneficial for him to not know how many people are, so you can say that he's doing a great job. He can say that he's doing a great job, which is bullshit. And then Trump recently has been coming out against tests and speaking out against Dr. Fauci, even though he has the ability under, and he has the ability under the War Powers Act to turn some of these car companies or Boeing or fucking Raytheon, some of these military weapon producers, force them to create things that we need. So they should have been doing months ago, should have been forcing them to make ventilators and to make fucking tests, which could have been done. Also, they could have used the WHO tests. And then another interesting thread about the tests is that, I don't know if you knew, but Germany, so there was a company in Germany producing a vaccine, working on a vaccine for a couple months now. And Trump personally contacted them and offered to buy the vaccine for $1 billion. And then there's the hydroxychloroquine bullshit.
Yep.
Which of course brings up the bleach, the Lysol shit, where Trump is insinuating that we should inject Lysol. But with the hydroxychloroquine, Trump has been continuously touting it, even though there's been evidence now, research showing that folks who are administered hydroxychloroquine who have COVID-19 have higher death rates than folks who aren't administered it. And, suspiciously enough, Trump owns interests in hydroxychloroquine. So it's all this, fucking really horrible and vile and fucking corrupt, death mongering shit for profit that Trump has been doing from the high up there.
Yeah, it's straight up monster capitalism. It's just he, and on top of that, he there is that company that he's also connected to that is, making a lot of the tests, or I forget exactly what they're making, but it's he's clearly just doing all sorts of things that are just the entire reason that the what was that clause that he was in violation of from the get-go as president?
I'll have to. I'm can't.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now, but everyone at home, I'm sure, knows exactly what we're talking about. You're not supposed to have business ties or make money from your presidential run. And he has violated that in every way that he can. The emoluments clause.
That's it.
Yeah, he's violated that in just about every way that he can.
So many times.
They don't when you don't do anything about it, someone like Trump's gonna keep taking advantage of that.
Yep. Well, they impeached him, over it.
Yeah. But
or they did impeach him.
Impeachment doesn't do much these days.
I don't think they impeached him over emoluments. They tried to impeach him over emoluments, but impeached him over other things, I think. But don't quote me on that.
There were several attempts. I think the only thing that he got impeached for was the the Ukraine shit, right?
I believe so. Yep. And
that's the one. That's the one that he did get impeached for, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, because he didn't get ejected. He was technically impeached. So yeah, and then impeachment 2020 probably not, because fucking his approval rate thing a couple weeks ago anyways was highest ever, which is just boggles the fucking mind. And it has to do with the fact that the rhetoric and the fact that he's doing daily press conferences and spouting a bunch of bullshit, and and this whole not testing people so folks don't know how horrible he's doing, contributes to it.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
And the fucking daily, conferences, the daily press conferences that he does have gone a long way to empowering these like boogaloo people, these fucking these terror wave people, these fascists and these white supremacist militias into doing these actions, because of course he fucking, at first he has mixed messages, right? He goes and always, once he gets criticized because he's like has a thin ego and gets easily
Yeah.
fucking offended, he goes and like try backpedals on shit like he did with the Lysol shit today. But yeah, he's been empowering these people to show up with these genocidal messages, these white supremacist militias, and these fucking fascists at these Open America protests. It's coming from
Yeah.
the very, you know what I'm saying?
Well, what's sick is like, for some people he's this like, perfect president or whatever, and then for other people he's this meme president. And like for those people that, they're for them this is like just a big ironic joke, because of their privilege. Like they see more screen time with Trump as more like meme time. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's the just same people that show up in the Joker masks at the protests that, you know they can't see the difference between irony and the fact that they actually believe in the things that they are ironic about. You know what I mean? It's because I think that it is something where you start joking about it, like, because I'm familiar with 4chan. I used to go to 4chan a lot in my early 20s, and it was hilarious to me. But
There's
uh,
still, there's
the
lots
thing.
of non-fash 4chan stuff out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to, the random board and just got the random jokes. I mean, there was a lot of, racist terminology thrown around and a lot of just, really, toxic stuff. But I think that it was at one point, it was ironic racism and ironic negativity that then people saw that already were that, and they're like, oh, this is a space that I can be the worst person that I can be and not be judged for it. And so it like kind of morphed from this like ironic joking space to this like, white supremacist space.
Yeah, because there's a discussion amongst some other comrades I was talking with earlier today about, trolling and shit, and how that eventually turns into ideology. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You,
and it's something you never think about at first when you're, I mean, like, I'm not saying like, memes are, dangerous, you need to stop sharing memes, but
uh,
like, if you don't think about the comedy that you're ingesting, even comedy can be an insidious thing, and can, start to make you have really, poor beliefs.
no
Um,
doubt.
stereotyping type beliefs,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah,
yeah,
it's a weird culture, and it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around, but it's something that has been happening. I think we're seeing, more and more these days. Like that's one of the bigger problems right now is people that are just, you know, community members for the sake of irony and not for the sake of the community, you know.
yeah. And yeah, that brings up, so all this fast trolling, which turns into real life like activism, like on Friday here in Wisconsin.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it brings up the whole second pandemic analysis that I've been hearing recently, where it's like, food supply chains have been severely interrupted and affected. Of course, we already had mass starvations around the globe because of global capitalism before the pandemic,
Mhm.
and just like how much it's going to affect that. And like, especially poignant locally is that there's been multiple meat packing plants or meat processing plants that have had to close down because of the virus. And then, related is the rates of oil, like the fucking, they went into the negative dollars per barrel recently.
Yeah.
And of course, you were
That's,
able to get gas for $1.10 a gallon, which is like 80s fucking prices, or like early
yeah.
90s price,
It was
80s price.
$10 to fill my tank the other day.
Yeah, it is insane.
Yeah.
And of course,
I've
yes, and
literally
how
seen that.
the economics of the pandemic affect the food supply chain because of how parasitic and horrible distribution under a supply and demand system is. Like a pandemic of starvation might be next, and like how that will inspire like or like start like all of this fucking violence coming from the right wing. Should that happen here in the United States? Well, not just, it's not the only place either, but
Yeah.
that's kind of you
I
think
think well,
about.
I think it's probably the most insidious here just because we believe so hard in the, rugged individualism and I guess prosperity gospel here that like, we believe in the dollar above all else, um
Yeah,
that your freedom to get the dollar or whatever they want to say. But yeah,
and
what?
I was gonna say, like, part of this, how scary it is here in the U.S. is the nascent, like, fascism, like, movement that has been arising here, and like how that's gonna cause, like, what is my comrade calls it, eliminationists. Like, you know what I mean? Like all these folks who've been prepping for Boogaloo, they come out in the luau shirts, like I said before, with the Joker mask, like I said before, and they also got full kit, i.e., they have like body plate armor and fucking semi-automatic rifles, long guns, and shit like that, and like how that can inspire them, because of the Trump administration and the rhetoric coming from the top over the last 3 years,
Yeah.
and might be a catalyst for some really horrible shit to pop off from them.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people that are in like, random militias throughout the country that are just like, waiting for shit to pop off and essentially want shit to pop off so that they can use their, cool shiny guns. You
Yeah, right.
And it's something no one should want. Um, you know, um, yeah, to want this, I guess, essentially second civil war to like pop out. Um, I don't know. It's just chaotic. It's not. It doesn't take into account like your community, your loved ones. I don't know. It's sorry. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Oh no, so on building on that, I think like it would legitimize sort of, the impression that these white boys have been feeling from the capitalist system, and like how like it becomes harder and harder just to be racist with their scape. Well, no, okay, what am I trying to say? Fucking yeah, it would legitimize the oppression, and then like I don't know where I'm going either. That's gonna be an edit.
These people, yeah, these people are just like unintelligible. We're trying to make sense of it right now, but
Yeah,
like we can't.
yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just they're shooting themselves in the foot, and it doesn't make any sense. And they're just angry, and they're taking it out on the entire society they live in.
Well, it's like we all, as workers, or if like as tenants, or as precariats under the capitalist system, we all suffer oppression, and white folks, because of like the movements, the Black Lives Matter movements, and other anti-racist and intersectional movements against white supremacist patriarchal capitalism. They've
Yeah,
have less of like scapegoating that they can do, and so that's why this like nascent fascist movement has arisen. Although it's also scapegoating too, and so like yeah, fucking they yeah they would legitimize all of their bullshit politics for like a famine to happen. And yeah, I still don't know where I'm going, but that was all right.
I was just gonna say, this is a kind of idea that I've been, bobbing around in my head lately. Do you think that this is possibly the Republican Party trying to move bases from,
So
like,
that,
say, like the religious right to just the angry anti-establishment right?
yeah,
'Cause
for sure.
they know that their days are numbered with the
Yeah,
religious right, right? So,
yeah,
like, in a way, I think that trying to co-opt the troll culture and, using that to strengthen the right is them trying to survive in this day and age where, like, they knew their days were numbered.
yeah. That's definitely a part of it. I've been seeing quite a bit of analysis around like the stay-at-home protests and how they're like the new Tea Party movement, which is exactly kind of like what you're describing right now, right? It's like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
right. Although it back in the like late '90s when the Tea Party, the early aughts when the Tea Party movement first came around,
yeah,
um, they still had like a legitimate base amongst like centrist right folks, the Republicans,
yeah,
and Tea Party emerged as like an alternative base that was vying for legitimacy within like the mainstream Republican
yeah.
fucking movement or whatever. Didn't do such good as and Trump's like failure of a fucking presidency so far. um Unemployment rates are the highest like ever. But uh
Yeah.
yeah, so now that becomes
All
like
right, that's not unemployment rate. I'm in it right now, but yeah, unemployment rates are high as fuck.
and it doesn't necessarily come from the Republican Party, but rather it comes from moneyed individuals who are supporters of the Republican Party, who are
Mhm.
who are sort of supporting this alternative neo Tea Party movement, right? So it's like, um,
But
yeah, it's like the
they're
folks who are
conservative.
supporting the party, sort of, you know,
Yeah,
capitalizing on the situation to move the base of the Republican Party via their
yeah,
capital right now.
yeah, yeah, and a younger base too. You know.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
so-called terror wave folks, which like describes a younger 4chan type of neo-fascist right-wing
Uh-huh.
people.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Very weird way to get people into your group by using
yeah,
memes and jokes, but it's like
yeah,
it's today's propaganda.
it's a
Uh,
big thing.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's why like I think the left needs to do better or whatever at excuse me,
yeah. That.
being able to mobilize some of that populist working
Uh-huh.
class anger and angst, not necessarily from terror wave
Yeah.
assholes,
Yeah.
but the other folks who are just mad because they're fucked over. They don't have any health insurance. They don't have any unemployment, barely. They don't have any. Oh, and then that brings up the fucking like the recent CARE Act, they call it. There's been a couple
Yeah. They always
several
come up with
hundred
something.
billion dollar bailouts. Yeah,
Well,
which is like,
I think the $600 one that we were talking about earlier. I
yeah.
believe.
So that
I
like
believe that's what that one's called.
well, it's CARE, CARE. It's part of
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
which passed a few weeks ago, like late March, and
Yeah.
then like, but see the unemployment benefits. Even Bernie touted that as like this huge win, and I think AOC like kind of had a better analysis around it. Alexandria
Yeah.
Horkin,
Yeah. I saw a Twitter post about that.
yes, but like that was kind of the only thing that was good for workers that came out of that, and it was sort
Uh,
of how they got progressive Democrats and independents, in the case of Bernie, to sign on to the bullshit like CARE Act, which ends up being like a multi-trillion-dollar bailout for capitalists and banks. So like we were talking earlier about like fucking the Paycheck Protection Program, and there's other bailout programs that are for small businesses, which is like if you know somebody who operates a small business, definitely apply for that, like your boss and shit. I'm applying for it, like a rapper, but I'm only getting a modicum of funds compared to some of these capitalists. But they end up being like these bank bailouts and these corporate bailouts, like in disguise, So, for instance, the paycheck protection program that the Small Business Administration is like taking care of, they allow folks who are small businesses and who pay employees paychecks to get these loans. They call them loans, but really they're like forgivable loans, which is like you think about a forgivable loan and you're like, well, isn't that a grant? But a lot of the reason that they're using that kind of language and doing it like that is because it ends up being a bank bailout, because the banks get paid back from the treasury any money they lend out. And so it's this way to funnel tons of money, hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars to the banks without like calling it a bank bailout.
Wait, wait. Are you saying that the CARE Act, the money coming from the CARE Act, is going to get funneled through banks?
Yeah. Well, so like the unemployment insurance, not so much, and the Trump bucks, the fucking grants. What is it called? The tax return. What did we call them earlier?
Well,
The
there's the $1,200 check. The
check. What would you call it?
stimulus, I think, is what they called it.
Stimulus money.
Yeah.
That and the unemployment stuff are not being funneled through the banks, but there's like trillions of dollars, and they just passed another one late last week, for like 400 billion more dollars for small business administration loans, and there's all of these other like big corporate loans and tax cuts that are rolled, hidden in there. And this time it didn't have the unemployment insurance benefits for working class people or anything, but they still do the bank bailouts by calling it like they're saving small businesses, but really they're allowing the banks to give out loans that are then like forgiven, like a forgivable loan, which is like I never heard that fucking term before in my life.
It's just another bullshit banking term or whatever to make them look better.
Politics term, really, where because the banks get the money back from the treasury, so they're like, yeah, of course we're gonna lend this out and then just get trillions, hundreds of billions in extra revenues that we're able to work with that way.
Well, I was reading that it also like negatively, the first wave of this negatively um, you know, put white male business owners ahead of like women and people of color that were business owners, um, because of the sheer fact that some of the women or people of color had slightly different situations that they had a business from, that weren't necessarily like um bank loans, like, so they're basically people that had unconventional business setups were really left out of the first wave of it, because all of these white male owned mostly businesses like swooped in immediately and got all the funding, like you were kind of mentioning earlier. But
Yeah,
there is the second wave.
Shake Shack and like Steak
Uh-huh.
and Shake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And
well,
you or me.
all right, it's that's the thing about this new life we're living in.
I know.
Yeah, the reactions are not 100% perfect.
I know. I can't see face very closely, otherwise we'd be able to
Well,
make
and
eye
there's
contact.
probably just a slight delay too. You know what I mean? Like there's probably just like a half-second delay or something.
Yeah, like our brains are really quick, and so it makes social interaction different now.
Yeah, we're gonna
But
have
hey,
to adapt.
right. So I was gonna say like the fucking. Oh, I don't know anymore. I got a couple things I was gonna say.
Well,
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna just mention that there is the part of that CARE Act that's the $600. Anyone, just for informationally, anyone out there that's collecting unemployment right now, if you're making at least $1 on unemployment, you should also be getting $600 per week from that program. And if you're not, talk to someone. But that's I think the only I guess positive part of this is that people are kind of being forced to see the value of, you know, putting money into unemployment and into just, you know, allowing people to live day to day. And you know, I think that's something that people are going to remember, that, you know, when push comes to shove, we have the resources and the systems, and, you know, to potentially help each other. But we have to, you know, put the money into those resources, and we have to, like, you know, we have to build our, you know, social safety net or whatever, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
because, like, you know, this is an example of, we had to build a small social safety net in a short time, you know, because it wasn't there, you know.
All
Uh,
right, we still have a long way to go. There,
yeah,
it's
we do,
mostly
absolutely. Like, this is just a, like, you know, a band-aid on a geyser, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, but it is giving average people a taste for why that's important.
yeah, and I think it really points out like how crucial folks who work in groceries
Uh-huh.
stores and agriculture and in restaurants, how crucial their work is to the functioning
Yeah.
of society in general. And of
Yeah.
course, you know, folks, and there's critiques around people who are calling those workers like you know, frontline workers and crucial workers and like heroes and
Essential.
whatnot. Of course, they're being
Essential.
they're forced to do that because they would be starving in the street were they not, and at the
Yeah.
same time they're being forced to work because they're not going to be able to eat if they don't. They're also being exposed to deadly viruses, which
Yeah.
like all, you know, all types of folks are dying, not just old folks. Of course they die at higher rates from it. And yeah, so, but and I like the way that it points out responders, specifically the useless they are, and that brings up like uh, the jail and around with the Free 350 Bail Fund and Mutual Aid Network and the General Defense Committee around freeing, and the Party for Socialism and Liberation we've been working with around freeing people from the jail, because jails are a public health crisis and a huge vector
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
spreading virus. Yeah, and so yeah, just like, you know, fucking cops are useless, and it's really evident now, and like grocery store workers and restaurant workers. But also that, yeah, the jail thing also reminds me of the disparities. You were talking about disparities in the loans. They're for the CARE
Yeah.
Act
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
Small Business Administration, but also disparities in the healthcare system because of the baked in racism that exists in society everywhere. Like Black, Indigenous, and people of color have been suffering from death rates that are much higher than everybody else in society, which is really fucked up. You know, there's a disparity in infection rates and death
Yeah.
rates too,
And
which is
yeah, I
tragic.
was reading another article about how that is still true, in response to the coronavirus. It is still affecting, you know, minority and indigenous people worse than others.
And people of color, and like that points out the jails too. Well, I mean, first of all, it like really brings to light the fact that, and all this is to say, like, hopefully after this we can all, there's like a new society that's possible. That's a good thing. I think like Aaron Dirty
Yeah, I
Roy
hope
talked
so.
about this, like, you know, crises and pandemics create a potential for something new. And we were talking about like, you know, crucial, you know, keeping people alive and social safety net, how that's important now, and it's realized, folks realize. But yeah, the fucking jails are in Dane County and in lots of counties across the country are disproportionately Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And so not only do you have like the healthcare system, which disproportionately affects with infection rates because of the, you know, the kind of jobs that folks who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color are working, and then again from the baked in inequality in the healthcare system and the other institutions around the healthcare system, and fucking, of course, in jails, they're also in there at higher rates. And then not to mention the fact of how deadly, like, being in the jail is, and how actually it's not just folks who are in the jail who are susceptible to the deadliness of COVID-19, because folks are going in and out of the jails and spreading it around the community. There was a report just today that came out from it was yesterday, from the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, I think. And yeah, it talked about how if we don't free people from jails across the country, jails and prisons, we can expect 100,000 people to die extra that wouldn't have had to die. And so, like, it's this pressing community public health crisis, and you know, we're pointing it out here in Madison and Dane County Jail to free people
Yeah.
from the jails.
Yeah. Like no one should have to, like, I don't know, endure this in a confined space with not very good I guess hygiene
Yeah,
situation.
what the PPE is, like masks and shit are non-existent.
Yeah, and I mean from what I understand, like they don't have the greatest like situations in prison anyway. Like I mean they're not spending a lot of effort into making these people's life comfortable and uh hygienic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
that,
can't see like prison, guards and people, really taking that extra step.
yeah. In the New York prisons in New York State, the folks there who are incarcerated were made to make hand sanitizer for people, paid 62 cents an hour to do so. And then at the same time, they're not allowed to use that hand sanitizer or any hand sanitizer because there's like strict rules in many prisons against, there's strict rules in many prisons against folks inside using products that contain alcohol of any sort. And so it becomes this ironic bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I gotta stand up anyways. I'm gonna stand up. Oh, yeah. It's really some good analysis. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, fam.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Yeah. All
No
this
shit.
all this beer running through me.
I fucking, we had them notes about what we are gonna talk about, and now they're gone, and now I don't
Oh,
know.
they're
I don't
gone.
remember what was on
No,
there.
no.
It was like the Lysol shit with Trump. I mean, there's not a whole lot of analysis like the other subjects we've been talking about, which has been great analysis. Good, nice conversation with
Well,
you.
I got one right here that I wrote down. And it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, as this is my fourth week of quarantine. Well, I mean, fourth week of, unemployment, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And one thing that I'm kind of discovering is the importance of your neighbors. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, and I guess one thing I'm realizing is now that if you're practicing the social distancing and like not going out and not, hanging out in close quarters with your friends, like you maybe want to, but you maybe shouldn't do right now. Your neighbors are really important, to have someone just to relate to or to talk to or to, if you have some problems to be able to go to. I've been finding myself, chatting with the neighbors a little more than I normally do. I'm usually a little more of a shut in, but you know, like there's my roommate and the neighbors, and like otherwise, I have to communicate through Zoom or through Facebook video messenger, which is like, definitely, one kind of communicating, but as humans we are social creatures.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and it's just pointing out the importance and the of community and the potential for like a whole new society after all this shit is cleared up, right?
yeah, I think that I hope that it will have a lasting legacy for people, because like that's something that has been kind of missing from this generation or whatever, that we have all this internet social um you know reality, but like we don't know our close proximity neighbors as much.
There was this report on Democracy Now! A few days ago. I watch that daily nowadays. They're calling, they used to be called the War and Peace Report. Now they're calling themselves the Quarantine Report. But
Oh
anyways,
really? Oh really? I didn't know
there,
that.
there was this report around phone use amongst millennials and how it's like skyrocketed because folks are like calling their parents and whatever the fuck more than ever before in a
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're a millennial, you're probably like, I mean, I guess technically a millennial, but I guess, you're more comfortable with talking through FaceTime or video or
You're
whatever.
claiming millennial fam. You're like 1990, right? Born
88.
88. Yeah, isn't that like 20
I'm
years
I'm I'm told I'm a millennial. I don't feel like it, but like I don't
I'm
know.
like I'm on the cusp of
Millennials wide swath, though. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It's like 30-year gap or whatever.
Yeah, it's a
20
weird.
years.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
boomers. Boomers
it's
is a big swath as well.
yeah, it's all constructs. Yeah, there's theories around once the pandemic's over, there's gonna be another boom of babies because everyone's gonna fuck and whatnot. And there's
Mm.
gonna be a lot of fucking going on. I really miss going to the bar and dancing, fam, and
I
going
was
to
about
concerts.
to say, I feel like it might just be the opposite, just because people are getting sick of each other.
No, what?
I don't know.
No,
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
go
some people are.
to,
I'm fine, but like,
go to so many bars and concerts
yeah,
every day.
nice.
At,
I've been trying to do more stuff online, but
at least theoretically, I feel like talking to strangers more now, like
yeah,
in real life.
yeah, I've been working on that too because
Yeah.
I have to, you know.
Facebook fucking friend requests gone through the roof. My shit is insane now. I've gotten like close to 1,000 in the last 4 weeks.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
pretty
I
cool.
I already had like 3,500 and or something.
I had a lot of a listen uptick in my podcast, the Album Concept Hour, because I've been, well, it's like I've had
Yeah.
more time to promote it, so I've been promoting it more on different websites. And
Right, right.
yeah, we had a huge uptick like a few weeks back, like the most we've ever had in like one weekend. And yeah, it's been steadily increasing. Although I I hear that podcasts have like had like mixed reviews as response to the corona stuff. Like some people have been getting more listens, some people have been getting less. Uh,
Okay.
but I don't know. It's been pretty
Yeah, I've
good.
been making content and getting more responses, but of course it's more quality now, and I'm taking more time to do stuff and promoting things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean I have a lot more time to devote to creative stuff, which is I think that's one thing that people will also remember about this is, you know, like there's certain people that are like, oh man, like I wish I could have time for a vacation or just time to just, off. And this is that time. And it can be really bad if you're in a bad situation already. Like if you're in, there has been an uptick in like, domestic violence and stuff. But I mean, it's also for certain, other people, it's an opportunity to, work on yourself a little more.
Seize the day. There's folks who are talking about how they're like bored all the time, and I'm like, I've never had more work to do or done more organizing
Yeah.
and like creative work in my life.
Uh-huh.
Like doing the mutual aid organizing with Dane County Community Defense that the General Defense Committee in Madison helped start. There's like so much fucking work to do there. I kind of stepped
What was that
back
last
from
thing
that
called?
last week and a half.
What was that last thing called?
The Dane County Community Defense
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry.
mutual aid project that the General
Oh,
Defense
mutual aid
started.
project. What is that?
Oh, you don't know about Dane County Community Defense?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
well, the mutual. I know the mutual. I don't. I know the Dane County Community Defense, but
Okay.
is that the full name of it?
That's the full name that we decided as a group on. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that that was. I have usually referred to it as the the Dane County Community Defense Committee or whatever. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
the GC basically.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I didn't know
know
the
that
whole thing.
we get lots of attention now for that, and it's a huge project that involves like hundreds of people, volunteers, and we paid out like close to $60,000 in financial aid to like almost 200 people now,
Wow,
um,
I didn't
and
know all
giving
that.
out
That's
like
really cool.
1,200 deliveries of groceries and shit like that over like 5 weeks and shit. And so, yeah, it's a huge project. I've stepped back from it the last couple week and a half to 2 weeks. Part of the reason is because like I just having difficulty in engaging people on there to doing political activity outside of mutual aid. Not that mutual aid isn't a political activity in itself. Specifically, like the importance of fucking freeing people from prison, which I think is
Uh-huh.
really important, pertinent, and like we've never
Yeah.
had this opportunity to be able to practice abolitionist and politics and like deliver on abolitionist demands like in the history of mass incarceration since like the 70s until right now. And so I've been devoting the majority of my organizing time towards decarcerating, getting people out of jail. I
Yeah.
just wrote I just wrote an article yesterday and published it on the Free the 350 website. So we've freed 6 people so far this month and raised something like close to $10,000 just for bail this in the month of April,
Awesome.
and continuing to pile in. And basically, the article I wrote talks about, there's been like 15 people who were tested positive for COVID-19 inside of the jails, and it just brings light to the what we were saying before. Where that was in one pod, by the way. So it's 15 out of 22 people in one pod tested positive for COVID-19. Not to mention the other dozens, the hundreds of people in the jail. So like, just like we were saying, jails are like these like cesspools of virus activity, where it's just like ends up being deadly for the whole community. And so I'm trying to devote a lot of time and energy towards decarcerating, and specifically like working inside the system is one thing I'm focusing on recently, and that's what I did in that article that I recently wrote. You also check it out. It's called "There's a Public Health Crisis in Dane County." On Free the 350 Bail Fund. That's Free the 350 Bail Fund. .wordpress.com. And yeah, so it's like I've identified the avenues by which we can free people, and it's like there's judges who can sign bails down to signature bonds and free people. The sheriff has the ability to free people on electronic monitoring, which is not ideal, but definitely better than being in the jails. The district attorney has the ability to drop charges on people and set them free like that. The fucking supervisors have the ability to reduce the operating budget of the jail and close it like that. The governor has the ability to grant clemency. There's other words for that, but like free people by saying that they're no longer, guilty of crimes.
Oh,
And
pardoned?
yeah, pardons or clemency. There, there's another word that they use in the state
Like
law.
like what Trump did with Blagojevich.
Right. Yeah.
People that deserve it.
Yep. He totally did that.
Let us never
Right.
forget that
There's
he
the DA, the
was out.
supervisor, sheriff, the judges, the governor, and then of course there's the mayor and the city council who are able to give lawful orders to the police chief, and then so they have the power, and so does the police chief, obviously. But the police chief is not an elected position, and so it doesn't have like this accountability to the constituency that the mayor and the city council does. But they could tell them to stop arresting people completely, although the arrests have gone down, but they could stop it completely. And again, like, you get a lot of criticism from people talking about, oh, you want to free violent people. But I would point out that there's no like definitive system. The incarceration of people in prisons and jails actually reduces crime in society or violence in society, and there's some evidence to the contrary that the modern criminal justice system increases crime and violence in society. And so it's like, free them all right now. And it's a public health crisis, right? So it's not just like being irrational and wanting to free people, because I'm getting this a lot, like on Facebook. Once I posted my article, it's like people saying, oh, maybe you should have a more realistic expectations or demands. Or it's like, fucking, how is it realistic to want 100,000 people to die? Like you're saying that like keeping people in jail for the COVID-19 to spread and into our communities and amongst jail folks is realistic? Or are you saying that keeping violent people, so-called violent people, in jail to reduce violence in society is realistic? Because there's no data to prove those assertions. It's pure ideology.
Yeah, that's ideology and opinions. It's just, and it's true. There is no evidence that, U.S. jails actually, help to create a, better member of society, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Or what's the word I'm looking for?
Recidivist, no.
Resuscitate.
Model. Oh yeah. Rehabilitate.
Rehabilitation. Yeah. There's no evidence that there's, our system does real rehabilitation, and there's actually a lot of evidence that it does the opposite. It if you go in on a light charge or something, but and you're not you're not really a violent person to begin with, you might become one to survive in those circumstances, you know
Yeah.
and
And
that's just basic like psychology, you know what I mean?
right. And the crime, the crimes of poverty, right? It's like all they do is increase inequality, and fucking, folks who are jailed and put in prison have a really hard time getting jobs, and of course that drives them towards crimes of poverty, because it's legitimate for people to steal shit in order to survive and feed their family, in my opinion, and anybody. So I think it was cogent. Anyways, yeah, I forgot to mention the
Well,
Department
that's
of Correction.
the struggle, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's or you have to respect it if if they're doing it for the right reasons, essentially, you know what I mean? For
yeah,
the situation that they're forced to be in.
that's right. Okay, so I forgot to mention the Department of Corrections, because the Department of Corrections and the probation and parole officers in the Department of Corrections have the ability to free many people from the jails, and the jails specifically, because lots of people are there on parole holds, so-called parole holds or probation officer holds, who could be freed with a flick of a wrist from these PO officers, who work for the for the Department of Corrections in Wisconsin. It's called different things in other states, but also the Governor Evers has kind of control over the Department of Corrections and is able to give orders to them too. So that's another avenue that we could free people, and we need to do it now. You know,
Yeah, I suppose Evers could free people.
yeah. So yeah, working on that. There's a meeting this Saturday with Freedom Inc. We're going to be expanding upon this movement, this idea. Party for Socialism and Liberation has been showing up to, organizing protests, and I have critiques around them because it's like the horizontalism of organizing and tactics is not there. They just kind of call for stuff, and then you show up or you don't. And like being able to have discussions about tactics and organize together isn't really happening there. In a typical Marxist-Leninist formation that like I'm used to, and you have some experience with in the International Socialist Organization.
Yeah.
But anyway, thankfully they've been doing a lot of good work, and I'm thankful for that. And they've organized several protests at judges' houses, the folks who are able to sign bail over to signature bonds and get people free pretty much instantly with a flick of a wrist. We've been showing up there in cars and doing social distancing protesting to several judges' homes across the county, and then a couple, like one protest at the jail where we kind of did a noise protest in solidarity with folks in the jail and to demand they free them all, and then another one yesterday which I missed. Sorry, I think it was Saturday, and that also incorporated like rent forgiveness, which is another important thing.
I think that was on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. I got a friend who's organizing a tenants union against the Madison property management. And
are they being shitty?
Yeah, they are always being shitty.
I have had business with them before.
Yeah, they're shitty.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I pay rent here at the studio, and even here, it's like the landlord was like, "You owe me money." At least he was like, "Let's come to an arrangement if you're having troubles due to COVID-19." But just the fact that he reached out to me and said, "You owe me money. You need to pay," even though there's like a moratorium on evictions, and like he can't technically do anything about the fact that I owe him money until next month. So yeah, even that is like, the whole landlord-tenant situation is fucking pretty shitty.
Yeah, it's a really sketchy situation because like like some people's landlords got a hold of them. They're like, we understand that like relationships between landlords and tenants haven't always been great, and then they go on to talk about how like you owe them money still and to not take advantage of the situation, and like it becomes very clear what their perspective is on you as a tenant. They think that you are always trying to take advantage of them, and that during the corona they're just scared they're not going to get their money, and it's like I'm scared that I'm going to die or something.
Yeah. And
So
so
there's bigger things than the money that you're going to miss for a month or two.
for your investment property, which is basically what it is, it's like speculation.
Yeah.
It's like finance, usury capital speculation. But episode 15 of the Lil Guillotine podcast was also recorded over Zoom with guest Ross Wagner, and we talk about a lot of analysis around the landlord class and tenant class and sort of society and rent structure like that. So tune into that if you haven't already, y'all.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tune into that because I need to know more about that myself.
Yeah, it's a good conversation we had, and yeah, it's just fucking. Basically, we need, in summary, we need like, well, ultimately, we need to like make non-existent the landlord class in society, right? Because they have a lot of negative influences in the economics and the economy of a capitalist society. And like Ross argues that they're even worse than bosses as far as the influence and like the power that they have, which I think is a cogent point. Ross makes a good point about that. But then also we need like rent forgiveness and utility forgiveness from the government. They need to be able to forgive the mortgages and tell the landlords that they're not allowed to collect rents on people, because they had like the stimulus package. People got like $1,200 here in Madison. That's like rents are fucking high. I pay $300 a month for this little space, this studio, and it doesn't have any kind of utilities, no bathroom, no fucking shower, no kitchen, any of that shit.
Yeah.
And so $1,200 might be like 1 month's rent, and like that's all they're planning on giving people so far. But they're bailing banks out by the trillions.
Yeah, like that's exactly the thing. Like if I was someone that wasn't gonna get that $600, for instance, if you're making money under the table, or if you're in trade work, or any number of situations where you can't even get the unemployment benefits. That's something that is also important to remember. um there's a lot of regular everyday people that do not have the most legitimate working situation.
Undocumented people, for instance.
Undocumented people, and just trade worker people that where they do some kind of construction type thing, and they cut a few corners, and pay under the table, which is
Yeah,
on for anyone in that business understands that's a pretty regular thing.
it is. Yeah.
And so for certain people, yeah, that 1,200 is maybe going to be it, and they're not even going to get that 600 a week from the care package.
And there's shitloads of people who aren't even getting that 1,200 too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that too. There was some mixed stories about whether you were going to be able to get it after a certain date, and
you have to have filed your taxes. You can't be married to an immigrant at all.
oh, what?
Those are cool off the top of my head. Yeah. Yep.
Jesus, I didn't know about
Yeah.
that one. That's fucked.
Yep. Yeah.
That's such an obviously racist thing to add to that. We live in strange times.
And of course, there's been like a huge freeze on immigration that Trump has taken, seized the moment to install to fucking
To
yeah.
support his previous stance on limiting immigration from places he doesn't like.
Yeah. And now it's like all immigration is like at a freeze frozen right now.
Yeah.
So-called Chinese virus, even though the rates in the
Oh,
United States are like fucking astronomical compared to what it was in China, because they had like a way more decent response from the top and public policy in regards to the coronavirus.
yeah.
And motherfuckers, I make TikTok about how fucking we're leading in deaths and infection rates compared to China, and then these Trump supporters with their troll bullshit are like, oh, China, blah 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 blah, and, like we have more people, and I'm like, dude, not than China, fool. They have like 4 times as many people in China.
Yeah.
But
What?
number and rates are higher, not to mention every other fucking country.
Well, one thing that people will bring up a lot is that, oh, well, China flubs their numbers, and it's
Yeah,
like, well, fucking Trump does too.
yeah,
So what the
immensely,
fuck are you talking about? You know?
immensely.
Yeah.
Like,
So I mean, maybe there's a little flubbing going on both sides, but it doesn't negate it. You know?
and it's like a different thing where it's like a negligent thing where they're not even testing in the United States to begin with. Whereas in China, maybe they're flubbing as like they're testing so that they can have public policy, but then they're like flubbing the numbers when they report them. Well, it's
Yeah,
like the
which is the
American
difference.
version is a lot more deadly and fucked up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like never mind. It's just it's a very different society than the US.
yeah.
US,
But
it's
then,
rugged individualism is our fucking shtick. You know what I mean?
but
It's
then it's important to also point out that like the U.S. could have the same kind of public policies and response from the top that China does, or better. If there
oh,
was the political will.
absolutely,
Yeah,
definitely.
but it's not just because they're like state capitalists over in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel
Yeah,
me?
yeah. No, no, yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's just it's weird how similar we are to that place that we talk so much shit about, you know.
Yeah, all the
So
kung fu,
to all the places we talk so much shit about, honestly.
no doubt.
Literally, the most shit that we're talking about is mostly us just being insecure about being guilty of the same shit, you know.
Yeah.
Seems to be
Okay,
our mode of operandi, you know.
no doubt. So hey, I don't know if this will make it to the podcast, but what's your fucking like? My sleep schedule has been fucking just turned upside down. I'll be staying up till 5 most days.
Oh, really?
What about you? Are you up late
Well,
now?
I've been trying to keep a good like regiment and like expelling energy when I need to, and I don't know. Like me and my roommate have kind of been doing like faux like work um schedules in a way. Like
Right.
I've been doing a lot of mixing, a lot of podcasting stuff to keep myself occupied, so that by the time like night rolls around, I'm tired. So I haven't had too much problems myself yet, but then again, I've never had a whole lot of problems with sleep. My roommates had some problems though. My roommate has been sometimes having difficulty like regulating his sleep with everything. So he's had to like learn how to expel enough energy to feel tired. You know.
Oh yeah, and like I've been doing a good job the last like the first couple weeks. It was hard, but I was working out like 6 days a week at the gym
Oh,
before.
that's right. Yeah, you were going to the gym.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's not a
so
thing anymore. So.
I've been doing a good job at doing home exercises. That's fucking wild. A lot of times at 2 a.m. is when I'll start them. 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah, I've done that. I've been doing that sometimes.
Hour and a half, and then like I'll take a fucking lots of weightlifting. So I got like the rubber bands. I'll do resistance training, and I have like fucking just reusable grocery bags that I will put a bunch of books in. I happen to have a huge dowel that I can like I'm
Yeah.
able to put it across my two couches and do like pull ups and curls, and also put like the book bags full of like
Uh,
shitloads of books and do like
that's a
curls and fucking
good.
shoulder exercises, etc.
I. That's a good idea. I should do that.
I've been wanting to record one of my exercises because it's all kitty wampus and it's all fucking DIY. It's like,
Well, that's
I got
those are the most important kinds of exercises. Those are the kinds that like you really like. I think your doctors recommend when you need to actually like fix your shit. You know, so like
I've been,
do simple like resistance exercises. Don't overdo it. Use
yeah,
what you have around you. You know.
yeah, I've been getting the same kind of resistance that I used to get from the gym and stuff like that, just from shitloads of books. A wooden dowel that's pretty thick.
Yeah.
That's like 5 feet long, so it's
Nice.
like a barbell basically,
Yeah.
and bags of books from reusable grocery bags. I'll be sitting there doing shit. I'll use like my tables in the kitchen, do like dips and fucking bicep curls, like isometric bicep curls. Use the fucking
I
this and that
used to do that kind
resistance
of shit,
bands. Yeah.
Captel. I used to do that kind of shit, like because I would get bored of reading the books. Yeah, I worked at Captel for like a year.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I would get like bored of like reading books and like whatever, and so I'd do some like lifts because just sitting in a chair all day.
Been helping, although I've stepped back from that too. Captel workers, because they're in Madison and Milwaukee, they're starting to get a lot of wins and organize under the IWW.
Are they still essential?
What?
Are they still essential right now?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh shit!
There's some.
Wow.
They've done a couple sick
Uh,
outs and shit and got a lot of wins from it.
okay. Okay.
So we're trying to get them to join the IWW because it's been organized under the IWW.
Oh, that would be really cool. They fucking need it.
Yeah.
They
So
need it.
yeah, I've been doing like 5-6 days a week resistance training, but it's like I'm still doing that physical exertion and getting good. But it happens at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. a lot of times. I'll be lucky to do it at like 3 p.m.
Yeah. Okay.
Some days. I did it at 5 tonight today.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, just to get that just physical exertion out at some point in the day, I think is important. You know.
And the kids just recently both started doing the online schooling that's happening through the Madison Metro School District and shit.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's reason to wake up that wasn't there before. But yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm mentioning all this because I think we should wrap up because we've been like
Yes, absolutely.
even though some of this was good.
I mean, there's well, I was gonna say, I just have. Do you have any like plugs or anything? Well, I mean, I know there's not probably any
Plugs,
shows going
plugs,
on right now, but
plugs. Yeah,
plugs. But yeah, I know you probably don't have any shows lined up as of the
I
moment.
had I had a few shows, lined up,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
finished.
yeah. Not
Good
a good
shows
time for
too.
shows.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. No, I asked someone the other night on a podcast, like, "Oh, what do you got going on right now?" It's like, "Oh, well, I guess not a whole lot."
But we plan on doing bail fund fundraiser concerts every Saturday at like 7 p.m. or something like that. So that's the plan.
Oh, that's right. You've been utilizing the like live like streaming shows, right?
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of our
Okay. Nice. I'm glad that we have this technology right now. That's one thing that I am glad of that we have like this kind of Star Trek type video technology in the time of the corona, you know.
yeah, no
Like
doubt.
this is definitely helping sanity.
We had like 6 rappers on Saturday on that shit. It was pretty hot.
Oh man, I wish I saw it. I'll have to, is there any recording of it anywhere?
Yeah, yep. It's called Online Concerts to Free Them All.
Nice.
I'll go ahead and ask like big name abolitionists, rappers like Immortal Technique and Talib Kweli.
Oh,
Somehow ask them to
dude,
perform because it's like maybe they will.
that'd be dope. That'd
Yeah,
be really cool.
and like fucking Killer Mike and shit and all that. You don't
Yeah.
have any questions, do you?
Nope. Just took a picture with him one time, but
Yeah.
they just came out with a video where it's for their single "Ooh La La" from Run the Jewels 4 that's not out yet.
Yeah.
But the music video is just a fucking group of people just burning money and partying. It's pretty cool.
Right on.
So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
what's plugs?
Killer Mike should be definitely on the list of people we should get at one point. I would lose my shit.
Yeah.
As far as my plugs go, I've been doing a lot more recording for the concept hour. The album concept hour. It's my music podcast where we talk about concept albums, and since we're in quarantine and I am currently unemployed, I'm putting a lot more time into that, and we're coming out with bonus episodes. So every other week we'll be having bonus episodes. Last week we came out with an episode for the Dixie Chicks, Taking the Long Way, and this week we just came out with an episode for the band Sleep's album Jerusalem, also known as Dope Smoker. And we had special guest Veronica Echevarria, and she's from the band Black Cat, which is a local hardcore punk band. So definitely check out those episodes. We actually just got onto Apple Podcasts finally. So yeah, please listen to that, and
Rate
if
it.
you're listening to this, yeah, be some of the first people to review it on Apple. Let us know what you think. We also have I also have one episode of Rolling Stoned that is about the quarantine. It's season 2, episode 2, and it is out on Apple and wherever else you listen to podcasts. So those
That's
are my
what's up.
plugs. Yep.
So my plugs is that I recently released last Friday, not this one, like 9-10 days ago. Fucking a single called "No Thanks," and it features myself, obviously, and MC Soul, who helps run the Channel Zero Anarchist Podcast Network, and also does the Soulcast, which
Oh,
is a
nice.
really good podcast that folks should. And the It's Going Down News is on the Channel Zero Podcast Network, and as well as like a dozen other awesome anarchist podcasts, really lefty far podcasts that you should check out. And so yeah, that's doing pretty good on Spotify streams and shit like that. And then another, so check that out. ffm.to/no-thanks. That's a mouthful, but check out Lil Guillotine. I got links everywhere.
Yeah, just
Um,
just 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 skip back 15 seconds, listen to it a few times, type it in. You got it.
yeah, you got it. And then I also started the chopping block series on YouTube, where it's like, political analysis around current events, and with some, not like high quality editing, but some medium quality editing, more than I'm used to doing, and shit. Having more time on my hands, and I've been
Well,
releasing.
it will get higher and higher quality as time goes.
Yeah, the more practice I have, and like just
Yeah.
seeing other YouTubers and what's bringing them success, and like emulating that. So check that out, and then donate to Free the 350 Bail Fund. You can donate at we'll free people, we'll pay people's bail, get them free, and help save the community from untold deaths. You can donate at free the 350 bail fund at gmail.com for PayPal. You can check out Venmo it's at Liam Monhone. That's at LIAM-MANJON. And then we have a Cash App. It's free the 350 bail fund, just like the PayPal. But just free the 350 bail fund. Donate there. Anything you can afford. Give them stimulus bucks and Trump bucks if you can afford it. And we'll help save the community from untold deaths. You hear me?
Yeah. Also, if you want to just check out their website, we mentioned it earlier in the episode, but free the 350 bailfund.wordpress.com if you want
Yeah.
more information on the bail fund in general. So
Yeah, the donation links, and also that article I wrote yesterday is up there,
yeah.
which got very well researched, half a dozen links and shit like that. Fucking, what do you call them? Resources, notes.
Yeah. Just stuff to ingest to understand the what's going on more.
And also ideas for tactics and how to actually decarcerate in Dane County, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all can extrapolate that to your communities too.
And reach out to us if you have any questions. If you have any specific questions, like seriously, like we'll give you whatever help we can.
Yeah, I'm LITL Guillotine. That's GUILLOTINE on Instagram and where else is that? Somewhere else. I think it might be Twitter or something like that. Yeah, that's right.
I think
Instagram and Twitter, but everywhere else it's
very good.
LI.
Yeah.
What about you?
Me, I actually do finally have a Twitter for myself. It is Brad the Baron, the Baron, on Twitter. So if you want to check me out specifically, otherwise I got the Revolver Audio and the Rolling Stoned podcast and all of that also on Twitter. So yeah,
Yeah,
check
hire a
me out
version.
wherever I am.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up. All right. Peace out, y'all. Thanks for tuning in to the Lil Guillotine podcast. We'll catch you next time. Peace, struggle, and revolution.
Peace.
Okay, I stopped the recording, the audio recording.
Right. I will stop as well. Boom.
Okay.
And saving. It is saved.
How did you have my voice through just like the speakers on your computer or something, or do you have it?
So I have your voice coming through my headphones. So
how are you recording my voice?
So so the way I have it going is, so the soundboard is going in through the USB. So I have both the audio coming in and the audio coming out going through USB. And
Okay.
so I can both hear you and I can, put the mic here into the computer as well. So that's why I'm, slightly higher quality coming from this mic. So if you want to, I can send you this file and you can try to sync them up, or I can try to sync them up. I got free time.
Okay.
But yeah, if you send me your just your raw audio file or whatever, I can find the spot where we sync up and then send you a version that is clearer for both of us.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's be a good idea.
Yeah.
I had this problem where I was like recording before I figured out how to record the video and the audio on the same thing, because my camera on my phone has the best video. It's like way better than the Mac camera on my MacBook Pro.
Yeah, just more advanced. Yeah.
And then, so I was recording audio on my computer and video on my phone, and then I tried to sync them up, but they would like go and drift. They would drift away from each other, like they were different speeds. Like over and over, I had to chop it and move it over so many times in order to make it match up with my lips.
Huh. Yeah.
But now I'm just like, well, that's why I want to get like either like last time I recorded it on, I just used the video from my Mac and then it's all synced up. And that was decent, but it'd be ideal to use my get something to plug it into my phone so that it records on my phone the video and the audio.
Yeah, and they have a few good things out there for that. So
you just got ERSS, like one of these that actually has enough rings.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got to have 4. Yep.
Well, hey, I really need to use the bathroom again. So,
okay.
How about you send me that audio file and I will see what I can do with it. Does that sound good?
All right, that's better. Yeah, sounds good. As soon as I get some internet computer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just send it to me, and I'll try to look into some of it tomorrow.
That's good.
Or,
yeah, hell yeah.
Or Wednesday. It might be Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
Yeah, I'll try to get to it very soon though, so we can get it out, so it's relevant and shit. So.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
for
cool.
Sure.
Good doing this, dude. Seeing you.
Yeah, for sure. Good one.
Yeah. Peace out,
man. Peace out.
Peace.
Bye. Let's see. End meeting.